Hello everybody and welcome to this video. In today's video we'll be looking at paper 1 question 1 and how to get full marks, as well as giving you the inside scoop from the AQA exam board. Question 1 is intended to ease you into the examination, thus building your confidence with the expectation that you will achieve high marks, which was proven to be the case in the 2017 summer exams, as the average mark was 3 out of 4. Question 1 will test your ability to retrieve information from an unseen passage and will look something like this. Read again the first part of the source from lines 1 to 7. List 4 things you learn about the weather in Cornwall. Now remember, question 1 will always be list 4 things, and question 1 will always ask you to retrieve information from the first part of the text. This question will assess the first part of the assessment objective, A01, so bullet point 1, where you are expected to identify and interpret explicit, so obvious and clear, and implicit, reading between the lines, information from an unseen passage. So, in this instance, you will need to list 4 things that you learn from the text about the weather in Cornwall from lines 1 to 7. So what do the AQA examiners expect from you? They will expect all responses to be true and drawn from the first part of the text. They will expect all responses to relate to the stem of the question, so in this case, responses must relate to the weather in Cornwall. They will also expect you to either use a short quotation or to paraphrase your answer. So in short, you'll be awarded 1 mark for every point made that is related to the stem of the question and is drawn from the line stated. However, you must note the following. The mark scheme clearly states that any responses that copy whole sections of the text from the line stated, word for word, will not be credited any marks. For example, if you were to write, the weather had changed overnight when a backing wind brought granite sky and muslin rain with it, you would not be awarded a mark, as it does not demonstrate your ability to identify precise information. As you can see, you only need the first part of the sentence as your answer, the part in bold, the weather had changed overnight. So if you were to write, the weather had changed overnight, you would receive 1 mark. Furthermore, AQA has stated that you will be awarded 1 mark for each relevant point made. Therefore, if you included multiple points on one line, each point will be credited individually. For example, if you wrote on one line, it was a cold day and it was raining, you'll be awarded 2 marks, as they are 2 separate points which relate to the stem of the question. Lastly, the exam board has stated that there is no requirement to write in full sentences for this question. So what did we learn from the 2017 summer exams? AQA have stated the reasons behind students not attaining full marks on this question is because they selected points from the wrong lines, students only selected 2 or 3 points rather than 4, answers were not focused on the stem of the question, so in this case the weather in Cornwall, and lastly, students misread and or misinterpreted the text at a basic level. For example, students would write something like, the weather made the coach journey feel uncomfortable. So how do we avoid these common mistakes that the 2017 Year 11 cohort made? Here are my top tips on how to get full marks on this question. First of all, I would urge you all to bring into your exam a different colour pen or highlighter. With your different colour pen or highlighter, you will need to read the question and highlight the key words. So for example, lines 1 to 7 and the weather in Cornwall. This will enable you to focus your answer on the stem of the question, so the weather in Cornwall, and to remind you to keep within the lines stated, lines 1 to 7. You will then need to put a box around the selected lines, lines 1 to 7. This will make sure that you are not quoting or finding information outside the line stated. Once you've done that, you will need to read the relevant lines and highlight the key information required, so the answers. So for example, the weather was cold is 1, the weather had changed overnight 2, it was raining 3, the hills were misty 4, and the air was clammy cold. 5. I would urge you to highlight or find at least 5 things if possible. Once you've highlighted your answers, you will then need to go back to your answer booklet and use a short quotation or paraphrase your answer in the lines provided. So you can see here the student has quoted the weather had changed overnight from the first line and has paraphrased from the first line once again, the weather in Cornwall was cold. Even though there is no requirement from the exam board to write in full sentences, sometimes it helps with keeping your answer focused on the question, and therefore you can see that this student has used the key words from their question, so the weather and Cornwall, in their answer. And finally, my last top tip for this question is to list 5 things instead of 4. So for this question, I would list 5 things. So on one line, I'd offer 2 points, multiple points. This will ensure that you have a backup point if one of your answers is incorrect. Remember, the examiners will have to award 1 mark for every correct answer, even if you have multiple answers on one line. Therefore, if you look at number 4, the student has written, the weather in Cornwall was clammy, which will be awarded 1 mark, and there was mist on the hills, which will be awarded its 2nd mark. Lastly, if you struggle with this question, it may be easier to simply retrieve points from the text rather than put in an inference, as this will eliminate any misinterpretation. And what I mean by that is read the text and directly put the 4 or 5 things that you learn in your answer booklet. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you leave. If you found this video helpful and would like more tutorials, then please press the like button and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye.